Mark, I imagine morale is high in the squad after Monday's performance.
Yeah, very much so, as you would imagine. Good performance. Yeah, I think I said last week as well, there's a lot of energy in the building at the moment, so that's obviously been helped by the manner of the victory as well. Yeah, really enjoyed the performance, enjoyed the result, obviously, and yeah, the lads are in a good place at the moment.
Was it up there with one of your best performances this season?
Yeah, I think in terms of where we're at and the point in the season to have that level of performance and is the most important game of the season because it was the next one. So yeah, for us to produce that was really important. We're up against a team obviously who still got ambitions to get in the playoffs, so we had to deal with that as well. So it wasn't like it was up against a team that were at a point in their season where they had nothing to play for. So we're not at that point with the teams who got ahead of us. So yeah, it was a difficult fixture on paper, but we were able to get the job done, which was really satisfying on the day.
I heard you after the game talk about a positive shift in mentality and drive that you've seen within the squad. Where has that come from? Is it something that's organic?
I think it's results. So, like I said, we're on a great run at the moment. So 10 unbeaten. I think one defeat in 16 or so. So that breeds confidence. There'll be some games we'll look back on, but where we'll feel we probably should have got something more out of. But we don't dwell on that because why bother doing that? Because you can't do anything about the ones that have gone. We're all about what's ahead of us, and that's totally our focus. We're just really excited by the games that we have ahead, and we focus on the very next one. That's all we do at the moment.
You use that word excitement there, and there's a lot of excitement around the fan base about what this team can do. How do you channel that excitement in a positive way?
I just think you've got to embrace it. You've got to enjoy it, and enjoy these moments when you're a football player or involved in football. It's important to the business end of the season that you're involved, and we are. Absolutely, we are. So why wouldn't you enjoy it? I mean, you can look on the downside of what if we don't do this, what if we don't do that, but the reverse of that is, well, what if we do that? So yeah, why wouldn't you have excitement? We build all year and play all the games to get to this point in the season to be involved in the games that matter right at the end, and that's where we're at the moment. So yeah, that's what we've all been building towards.
I remember you saying maybe a couple of months ago how you get into this stage of the season where you're ticking games off one by one, and we're really now at that business end of the season. Are you sensing that mentality as well within the squad? Yeah,
without a doubt. It's something I've mentioned before. It's just when you get to this stage of the season, you've just got to focus on the one immediately in front of you, the game that's most important. And when you're going for things, when you're challenging for positions in the league, then that's all you can really focus on, and it's about dealing with what's in front of you, making sure that you get a positive outcome, and then park that onto the next one. Then that's what you do until the end of the season. Certainly at this stage of the season, you've got to focus on what we can do. Teams will slip up. We don't want it to be us. So if we can get our job done, then other teams we feel will drop points. So we've got to be ready to capitalise on that.
What are your thoughts then about that next game and the opponents being Rochdale?
Yeah, it's difficult fixture for us. Obviously, they're fighting for the Football League position, and they're very conscious of that, obviously, and it'll be a really hard fixture for us. They've changed the manager. There's a new manager bounce. They've done okay in recent weeks, so we'll have to deal with that as well. But I just sense we're in a really good place. We're going to have huge following as well at Rochdale, and the fans of the weekend, they've been great all year. But at the weekend, they really understood that we were playing well, and that encouragement that we had just made it a really good performance. And our away following is no one else can match our way for following in this league. So it's really important that we give them something to cheer.
Yeah, those big numbers that are going on Saturday, that really add to the occasion for you as a squad.
Yeah, I'm really proud when I see all the fans in the stadium. I think you think back to probably the Doncaster one, where there was something like 4,000 odd. There's going to be over 3,000 at Rochdale. So when you get big numbers like that, it just makes the game. It just gets the juices flowing. That's what I've always enjoyed. That's what I've been used to as a manager and as a player. And when you get big crowds, don't have any apprehension. Just enjoy it.
And that's feeding into the players clearly as well. And we've said it seasons gone by that sometimes players have maybe crumbled in that atmosphere and that occasion, but this squad seems to be really embracing that big atmosphere and occasion.
Yeah, that seems to be, and we need that. We need them to be really positive, and I'm seeing that in our players. Certainly at the weekend, I thought we were on the front foot right from the off. We've got to be able to replicate it again and again until the end of the season. But I think potentially we can do that. So I think that gives me comfort in knowing that within the squad we've got the ability to win every game that we've got ahead of us. Challenges to do that, but we've got the potential to do that.
Helps when you've got Andy Cook in your team, of course, as well. And he was obviously nominated this week for League Two Player of the Year. I mean, it's an accolade that goes hand in hand with what he's performed.
Yeah, fully deserved. He's been fantastic, and it hasn't just been his goals. I think as a football player, he's really improved his link-up play and his understanding of people around him. He's not just an out-and-out goal scorer. He's very important to what we do in terms of our play leading up to obviously the top end of the pitch where he comes into his own. So whatever accolades he gets at the end of the season, and he'll get many because of the level he's hit, they're all deserved because he's had an exceptional season.
That overall play, and I think you said after the game that you've seen a real marked improvement in his overall play. Is that something that you've worked with him on? Well,
I think it's a consequence of how we work every single day. Every single day we're getting the ball down, we're passing, we're moving, and if you're doing that on a repetitive basis, and you've got small-sided games, you've got small areas that you have to work in, then in my view you'll improve. And that's what happened with Andy. And I think I don't know what he's done at previous clubs, but I've just felt that his touch and his technical abilities has risen, and I think that's credit to him because he's worked on that, and as a consequence I think he's a more rounded player now. Yeah,
it must be pleasing for you as a manager to see that desire to learn still. I mean, he still wants to learn and improve his game.
Oh yeah, and we've got a lot of players like that right throughout the squad. There's always that sense that there's an opportunity within this group to get better because the level that they hit in training is a good level, and if you're involved in that and you're part of that, then I just feel your level will raise because you're in a good environment and you've got good players around you.
Finally, team news wise, going into Saturday, how are you shaped up?
Yeah, pretty good. We haven't got too many, certainly not from the weekend. We haven't got any fallers from that. So a lot of the guys are coming back. Abu Issa's back training really well, only missing out on small parts of the training. Adam Clayton joined in today, so he's ahead of where we thought he would be. So almost everybody is fitting well other than the ones we know about.
That's positive for Adam then, that you do expect to see him, or at least
he'll be available before the end of the season. Yeah.
Best of luck. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks a lot.
When you're at this stage of the season, there's things to play for. Obviously, as a player, you're involved in the business end quite often. Is it different as a manager? Do you have more of an overview of it than you do as a player?
Yeah, you have to be, because it's a different role. It's completely different from being a player. When you're playing and you're involved in it, you're very much on what you as an individual, how you can impact a game, both individually and collectively. Whereas as a manager, you've just got to bring the sum of all the parts, bring it together and make it better than they would be individually. Collectively, they've got to be able to do the right things at the right time and get the job done. So yeah, it's a different role, different from when I was a player, but I think the emotions and the sense of where you are in the season, I think they're very similar. And I think that's what I'm talking about. It's getting to a point in the season where you think, right, this is where we kick on, we get ourselves into position, and then we really go for it at the end when it really matters.
I suppose as a manager, it's you channeling those emotions in the player into the right direction.
Yeah, but I think there's a sense that it's building, and I think that just comes from obviously good results and the run that we're on, and the fact that at the moment we're difficult to beat, but we're winning games as well. So that's a good combination, and it's about being in form at the right time, and I think that's what we are at the moment. We're in good form right at the business end of the season, so we're in a good place, and we're well served in terms of the quality we've got within the squad. So let's see where it takes us. We want to achieve this year. That was always the idea at the beginning of the season, that we'd have a better season than maybe some in the past, and I think we've exceeded obviously previous seasons at this level. We just want to go and make that final step if we can.
Cheers. Good luck.
Thank you, man.
And Michael, obviously you say that sort of keep the players ticking along as they're doing. I mean, for yourself as a manager in this situation, do you have to sort of change your team talks because there's a bit more riding on each game, or is it not sort of saying Chilean team? You know what I mean?
No, I think you've as a manager you've got to sense the atmosphere. If it's a bit flat, then you've got to be more demonstrative. You've got to get a reaction. If the energy is there, there's very few occasions where you try and quell it. I think you just let it go and see where it takes you, and I think it's always a positive if there's good energy and the wreck. And what I'm getting at the moment is that a real understanding of where we are in the season, what's ahead of us, and the fact that they're getting excited because of that. That's a really good thing. So I'm not going to put a big fat thumb on the top of it to stop it happening. I think you just let it go and see where it takes you.
So presumably is there a bit more sort of noise around the dressing room now? I mean,
yeah, very much so. Yeah, I think it's a group of players now that are excited by where they've been able to place themselves, and we've added certain characters to the group, which I think has helped that, and I think the group and individuals within the group are a lot more comfortable in expressing how they feel within the group, because they're comfortable, and in terms of that excitement that maybe they try to keep under the radar, they're quite prepared to show it now because they're comfortable in the group that they're in.
And obviously the overall picture, I mean, it's, we keep saying it, how tight it is. I mean, did you envisage, I mean, there are a lot of teams in there, did you envisage it being this tight at this stage of the season still?
Yeah, I think I did, because obviously before the season started, before last season I had a little bit of an insight into what the level was because of the 12-13 games I had at the end of the last year, and I understood very quickly that there were some very good, strong teams at this level, and a lot of them we were going to go up against once again, and the teams right at the top, a lot of them are the ones that were involved last year as well. So so it hasn't surprised me. It's a strong league at the top end, definitely. So yeah, that was always a challenge, but we haven't been surprised by anything. Let's put it that way.
And the fact that it is so tight, it's in effect, a new league starts now, isn't it? When you look at it, because there's such 2 or 3 points between the whole spread of sides.
Yeah, and it's back to that point about just getting on with what we can affect, and if we do that, then we'll go very, very close. If we start wondering what everybody else is doing, then you drive yourself a bit daft. So yeah, you just got to concentrate on what you can apply and what you can do in terms of your own results, and then we'll take what that gives us. Hopefully it'll be what we want.
And obviously at the other end of the pitch, giving away very few chances again. I mean, without wanting to sort of dig the defence or the goalkeeper out, because Harry Lewis had an outstanding season, obviously the 2 penalties given away of late, is that a little bit of a sort of a slap in the face about keeping concentration levels at times?
No, it's only, I mean, we look at lots of stats and lots of things that maybe shape a performance or a result, and we look probably in the last 10 or so games, our the amount of chances that we're creating has gone up markedly, and the ones that we're giving up has gone down markedly. So that's a good thing. So the difference between us scoring and opposition scoring against us, that gap is widening, which is a good thing. So we're pleased about that. But you're only one mistake away from obviously sometimes changing the outcome of the game. We've had a couple of decisions in games that we haven't quite got right, and that's well, could have hurt us at the weekend. It didn't, thankfully. But prior to that, it has. But probably more concerning was probably the amount of the referee decisions going against us. That they're more catastrophic than any of the things that we've done ourselves, I think. So but it's not just us. Everybody has those moments, and I've seen a few in recent weeks, not least a recent Rochdale game with the keeper. So these things happen. You can't legislate from them. You just got to get on with them if they go against you.
I was going to say, when you see questionable refereeing decisions from other games, does it make you feel a little bit better in the sense that it's not sort of,
yes.
It doesn't feel quite so one way?
Yeah, well, you get a little bit paranoid about it, but it's across the board, it seems sometimes.
Mark, Sir Alex used to talk about tailoring his work so that the team peaked at the end of the season. I just wondered to what extent you try to do that, and if you do, what sort of things you try and do?
I think it's a case about how we approach the second half of the season. I think it's all about being in a position to be involved at the end, and it is more about that. And that's, I think, I know that's what Sir Alex always used to talk about. Just get to Christmas and see where you are. If you're in a good position, then you can have a real go at the second half of the season. Notwithstanding the fact we were trying in the first half, but you've just got to be in a position to really have a chance, and we've been able to put ourselves in that position, and we've got a chance. So we'll do our utmost to hopefully take that chance if we can.
And we had Scott in early, and he's only 21, but he's already able to talk us through a couple of promotion campaigns he's had in Scotland. I just wonder how important it is to have done that, to have that knowledge.
Yeah, I think it's an important point. We've got quite a few of the guys that have been involved and gone up either automatically or through playoffs, so that experience is important, I think. So we've got a good mix right through the group that have had that experience before, so I think that's important. So I think it's a good point to be made. I think that experience of being in this situation before stands you in good stead, and sometimes you can revert back to your memories of those games and those moments when you did well or maybe not so well, and learn from it.
Yeah, I was going to say just finally, I mean, presumably the ones where you were disappointed were equally
absolutely. You take something from every experience you've been involved in, so good, bad or indifferent. So I think the experience that we have is at a good level, so I'm pleased with it.